Imagine that there was an easy way to reach a bigger audience with your blog. A way to build relationships, a way to expand the knowledge available on your site. Well, there is. And that's what we'll be talking about in this week's episode of the Blogcentric podcast. Welcome to Spiderworking's Blogcentric podcast, a podcast about blogging. Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Blogcentric podcast. I'm Amanda Webb and you'll find the show notes from today's show at spiderworking.com/61. A few weeks ago on this show, we talked about running a guest blogging program. There were lots of advantages. It would help you add expertise outside your knowledge base to your site. It would help you reach a larger and different audience. And it would help you build relationships. But allowing others to write from your site also came with some pretty hefty disadvantages. There was a lot of organisation involved. There was a lot of follow-up and nagging to make sure you got those posts from people. And that's just two of them. But there's an alternative. And it delivers lots of the same advantages that a guest blogging program does, with less of the headaches. And that's interviewing people. I'm going to put my hands up here and say I'm not the best interviewer in the world, but I am getting better and I learn from every single interview I do. And what's more, I know my listeners and readers enjoy my interview posts. They always get good traffic and good dwell time. And just this morning, I got a call from a listener who found last week's interview with Frederick Murphy so helpful, she just had to pick up the phone and tell me. Today, I'm going to share some of the things I've learned about interviewing people for my podcast and for my blog. You're listening to Blogcentric from Spiderworking. There are two ways you could conduct an interview for your blog. You can send a list of written questions by email, or you can conduct an in-person email, either face-to-face, by phone, by Skype, using another tool, and then transcribe it. Both have advantages and disadvantages. Text interviews are the easy option. You don't have to sync a schedule to create them. You can just send off your list of questions, you get the replies by email, great, done. The disadvantage? You're pretty much stuck with the questions you send. So if the interview touches on something you'd like to explore more, something enticing and interesting, you either need to send a new email with some follow-up questions or not explore it at all. In-person interviews are a lot more work. Not only do you have to sync your schedule with the people that you want to interview, you need to set up some sort of recording mechanism, but you also need to transcribe and edit that interview to a readable length, because an in-person interview can span thousands and thousands of words. The upside, and there's more than one, you'll get a more natural response, a far better picture of the person you're interviewing, because the spoken word is full of quirks. You'll get their personality. You also have the opportunity to entice your interviewee to expand on those topics, those interesting things that they say that come up during the interview. So if you're up for it, make a list of the people you'd like to interview and then do some research. And that's the key to a good interview, research. Ideally, you should spend a lot of time reading about your interviewee. Read about them, read any content they've created. If possible, listen to podcasts and videos they've appeared in, because this gives you a better idea of how they speak and what they look like. If you've ever met someone that you've only spoken to on the phone before, you'll know there can be a massive disconnect between what you think someone looks like and what they actually look like. And the same goes for online. If you know someone online, there's a massive disconnect between the way they type and the way they sound. Make sure you're prepared. Find out what's important to your interviewee and find out what benefit there is to them for appearing on your blog. Have a look for the stories they tell and make a note of them. And make sure you're following them on social media platforms too. There's nothing worse than when you complete an interview with someone and then start following them on Twitter. So embarrassing, even if they don't notice. Now you've done your research, it's time to approach your interviewee and ask for the interview. If you're emailing, it is absolutely crucial that you personalise your email approach. Use the research you've done to make the prospect of appearing on your blog appealing. And your email subject line is important here too. You could write the best email ever. It's no good if they don't open it. Try and make it something interesting enough that the recipient will want to open when it appears in their inbox. Sinead Burke, who writes for the Mini Melange blog, or that's actually her blog, minimelange.com, she publishes amazing interviews with powerful women, inspirational celebrities. I saw her speak at BloggerConf in Dublin last year, and she described how she approaches her subjects. Some of the subject lines she used in emails included phrases like, "I'm totally chancing my arm, but..." I love this approach. It's so personal. I definitely click and open an email with that headline. But don't copy her headline. Come up with your own. The ones that will make people click.
You're listening to Blogcentric from Spiderworking.
Once you've secured an interview, you need to come up with your questions. As I said at the beginning, interviewing is not easy. I'm still an amateur. I'm getting better. But we're all amateurs when we start out. And some interviews that we do will be better than others. Even professional interviewers have tough interviewees sometimes. If you haven't seen the interview with Michael Parkinson and Meg Ryan, look it up on YouTube. Car crash telly. One way that you can ensure a better interview is to prepare really good questions. All your questions should be open questions. So those would be questions where there's not a set answer. There's a variety of ways that people will want to expand on it. Some interviewees will be more verbose than others, but you don't want to end up with a bundle of yeah, no answers. When you're preparing your questions, start with some easy ones and build up to the longer ones. For example, getting someone to tell their story at the beginning of the interview puts them at ease. It's something they're comfortable talking about, and it gives your listeners some good background information. But then it's time to get into some of the topics you'll have picked up from your research. Focus on the ones you know will appeal to your audience. Will your audience be looking for tips and expertise, or are they more interested in the person themselves and what makes them tick? Try to keep your questions to a minimum too, somewhere between 5 and 10. If you're conducting an in-person interview, I think it's a good idea to have a notebook at your side and just jot down questions that are spurred by the answers they give you, because I tend to forget them as I get involved in the conversation. You've got your interview, now it's time to get it down onto your blog. The first thing you're going to need is an introduction paragraph. And I find that it's not until I've finished the interview that I know what the key theme of it's going to be. Sometimes it will go in a completely different direction than I expected it to. For this reason, I leave writing the introductory paragraph until last. And in it, I'll include some information about the interviewee, and I'll talk about some of the key learnings that we can expect to get from the interview. Then you've got your transcribing and your editing. Transcribing can take a while. If you're not a fast typist yourself, it's definitely worth getting someone else to do it, and then editing. Whichever type of interview you conduct, written or person to person, you're going to need to edit. Maybe it's a little bit long, or maybe you need to edit it for clarity. Do be aware that if you're changing their words, it's important that you're not changing the meaning of their words. It could be a good idea to send those edits onto the interviewee so that they can approve them before you publish. For recorded in-person interviews, editing is harder because there'll be loads of ums and ahs and other words. You'll need to neaten up the text so it flows when being read, but don't take away the personality, the thing that makes the interview shine. At the end of your interview, you might want to link to resources that they've mentioned. You might want to link to their social profiles, their website. You might want to include a more extensive biography. But don't forget to draw conclusions as well. What are the key takeaways from your interview? What can people learn? Once you've finished, all you need to do is add an image and hit publish. Don't forget to tag your interviewee when you share it on social media.
You're listening to Blogcentric from Spiderworking.
Don't forget, interviews are a good way to expand your audience. The people you interview are more likely to share that interview with their audience that will come to your site, that will find out about you. They're also great for expanding your knowledge base. You can't know everything. Find an expert who can answer your customer questions, and you'll draw in a new audience from that. And finally, it's such a great way to build relationships with those people, with those bloggers. And interviews are so much less time consuming than guest blogging, and they still offer that value. You may have guessed, but your blogging challenge for this week is to think about conducting interviews. So start by making a list of the people you'd like to interview for your blog. Then do your research and send an email request. Fingers crossed you'll get a response, and then you can go ahead and conduct your interview. If you do, I'd love to know how you get on. So do leave me a link below or get in touch with me on social media. And that's all for me for this week. Before you go, don't forget that I would really love it if you left me a review on iTunes and Stitcher. Sure, I really love it, but what's in it for you? Well, a couple of things. If you do enjoy this podcast, getting your reviews means the world to me. It keeps me podcasting. It makes me know you listen. And secondly, well, it's good karma. If you do something nice for me, you never know what will happen in return. Until next week, happy blogging.
Blogcentric from Spiderworking is sponsored by We Teach Social, social media e-learning courses for small business. Find out more at weteachsocial.com.